Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. So today, it's Monday, and this weekend has kind of been rather busy for me. Um, I had told you guys that I was going to start by doing the raise sign last weekend, cutting it out and everything. And honestly, I had so much to do last weekend, and then a lot of it fell apart. And then I ended up doing stuff that was completely different than what I actually planned on doing. So I actually ended up putting in a vent hood. So it's like a vent hood for like an oven, and it's over there now, over by the window. And so the goal for that is so that we can blacksmith using the coal forge inside the shop. So fingers crossed that works and I don't end up smoking myself out. Um, so basically, what is going on is over here. I'm gonna turn the camera so you guys can kind of see. It's gonna be a little bit bright because it's right in front of a window, but I'm gonna slowly turn this camera so you guys can kind of see. That's all my gear and shit. Um, so oh wow, this is like sideways and everything. That's awesome. Sorry about this movement. But you can kind of see that the coal forge is over there, and up there, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. There is a vent hood now. Let me move us back to our normal location so you can kind of see all of the stuff that's in my shop. Anyway, and I think we're gonna stop here because that way you guys don't have to look at the door. Anyway, so there's a vent hood over there over top of my coal forge. And so what that's for is so that it will suck up all of the coal smoke out of the coal forge and suck it up out or into the vent hood and out that window. So fingers crossed it works the way I think it will. It's actually about the same height as you would put a vent hood over your stove. Well, I'm not entirely sure if it is quite strong enough, like that, the vent itself, to suck up all of that in there, but it's kind of an experiment. So we're going to see how well it works. I think I'm going to start that on Tuesday or tomorrow. And if I can, get it to function, then on Wednesday we will do some coal forging in the shop. And if not, I will probably set up the coal forge outside and we'll still do that coal forging. There's a few things that I'd like to do while, with the coal forge. I would like to make a hammer drift, a hammer eye drift, and start working on some tools so that we can make some hammers and axes. So I'm really excited about that. Good day, Ray. Hi, Mahalo. Welcome in. Welcome to the stream. So, yeah, I am really actually kind of looking forward to that. The idea of smithing from a coal forge indoors is kind of foreign to me. I mean, I've been to a few shops where that is the case, but they have a little bit better vent hood system. So we'll see if I can, manage something. And I think I'm gonna, like I said, I think I'm gonna test it tomorrow so that I don't end up smoking myself out and then having to stream while there's a whole bunch of coal smoke in here. So we'll see what happens, and I will keep you guys posted. And yeah, so today we are going to finish up our rows. This guy right here. We have a single interior pedal for the two interior mid rows of the, or I guess rows of the rows. Uh, so I want to curl this guy right here a little bit, and then I want to finish up these last two tiers and the ninja star down at the bottom. I guess this is the open rosebud. I think that's what that's supposed to be. So that actually curls out towards the stem. The rest curls up and around in a cinnamon roll-like pattern around here. So that's what we're going to start off with today. I really want to finish this guy. And then that way I can throw it up on the project wall for Wednesday's stream. You may or may not see it, but it'll be there. And then from there, I am going to take these pieces right here. And these are three 3-inch long, 1/4-inch stock or pieces of stock. And I'm going to make S hooks out of them. And the reason I need to make S hooks is because I'm kind of trying to untangle my life here in the shop. There is a lot of cables coming from the cameras to plugs and to my laptop. And so I'm really trying to kind of make it a little bit easier to move around in here and move the camera so I'm not constantly tripping on the spaghetti that is in the shop. So my cameras, they don't run on batteries, they kind of run on wall plugs. So those are, and then there's a HDMI cable, so we've wrapped those together, but now they're kind of just hanging. And I want to kind of get them up off the floor so they're not dragging there. So we're going to make some S hooks and kind of take care of that. So hopefully we can get all of these done. If not, I will continue working them on Tuesday. And, you know, Wednesday, like I said, I want to be back in the coal forge. So we will either be out in the carport or in here with the brand new range hood. So it looks like we are in ad time right now. And that's all right. I can handle ad time. So once these ads are over, I'm going to start the forge so that we can start heating up the flour, our rose. I really like to wait until people can see me, you know, starting up the forge because I think it's really neat. It's like those mini explosions. Those are really cool. Indoors would be great for dealing with all this rainy weather. Exactly that, and I'll be able to stream in the coal forge over the winter time. So yeah, it's, you know, it would be nice to do. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the story once I've gotten this forge taken care of. So we're going to start that, and then I'll tell you the story of deciding to try and do the coal forge inside. So here we go. Maybe this will work. Maybe it'll function correctly. All right. Grab the rose and stick it in there. Oops. There's that. Now, let's grab these so I can hear myself think. All right. There we go. I can hear myself now. There is totally a lawnmower going on that side of the yard now, too. So that'll be all right. They won't bother us. We won't bother them. Anyway, so I've been talking to you guys about wanting to make hammers and axes recently. And in order to do that, I feel like I need to get the material very, very hot, and I just can't do that in my gas forge. So that's why we built the coal forge, if you guys remember. And so I went to my partner, and he's a good camera guy. He's like really intelligent when it comes to like camera setups and things like that, and a little bit about wiring and lighting and all that stuff. And I went to him and I was like, well, I want to take the coal forge and I want to be able to stream from the carport, which is behind the garage door, but I want to bring the material all the way in here to the press so that I don't have to make these hammers by hand because that is so much effort. And so what happened, what he thought about it for a moment. He's like, well, why do you need to, you know, bring it all the way from the carport into, you know, to the press? why can't we bring the coal forge in? There's a window over there. Why don't we see if we can't vent the smoke from your coal forge and bring it inside? That way you can forge in the winter time with coal. And that's a really great idea. I wasn't entirely sure how it would work, but I don't know. We decided we were going to get a range hood and see what happens. So we're going to experiment with this. Normally, this is not how you would deal with the smoke in an indoor forge. Normally, there are like larger vent hoods that attach to the coal forge itself. It's a more self-contained device, and it kind of sucks up all of the smoke inside of a tube and then brings it out of flue. And so I don't know if this is gonna work. We're gonna try it. You know, see how it works. If it's going to work. So we're gonna try that on Tuesday, so it does not disrupt our regularly scheduled stream. Because the last thing I want is to come in here, start streaming, light up the coal forge, and then the smoke fill up the area or like the room because I just don't have enough ventilation. So yeah, we're gonna open up the window, start up the vent, and see what happens. So there are a couple things left to do to this forge in order to make it function. What I need to do is I need to drill a hole in the T of the black iron pipe so that I can put an air gate in the bottom. So basically, I'll have like a little round gate that will rotate on the edge of that T so that I can allow more or less air to get up inside the coal. Because let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can unhook this. There we go. All right. So this is kind of how the black iron pipe looks, right? So this right here attaches to the bottom of our forge, and it gets like tack welded under there so that we can easily get it off, but it hangs there, right? And so this guy right here is where all of the air and the clinker goes down, right? So the air comes in through this end right here, and then at this bottom, you can kind of control how much airflow comes into the coal, right? Because if you've got the air coming in through here, it has two ways to go. It can go down or it can go up. So if I have a little door that kind of rotates here, I can control how much air ends up going up and how much air comes down and out. And so that is, or I need to make that airflow gate. And then I also need to create a clinker breaker. And so what I need to do there is I need to take a really thick piece of steel and cut it round so it just fills this hole right here, but it can rotate in there. And I need to drill a hole all the way through so that I can have like a little crank here so that all of the nasty clinker and stuff will go down through the bottom and collect here, and then I can move that air gate over, and then all the clinker will fall out. But it will also hold the coal inside of the forge pot. So those are the last two things I need to do for our coal forge in order to get that ready to go. So I get to do that on Tuesday. It shouldn't take too terribly long though. I'm going to do that so it doesn't fall over. Is the coal smoke mostly ash and soot? Are the monoxide gases that must be vented away too? So yeah, anytime you are burning stuff, you know, you've got like it's burning oxygen, and so you are getting that carbon monoxide developing. But the other thing is that coal smoke has carbon particles in it, and so when you inhale that, it's really bad for you. And so sometimes I will use, you know, my dust mask, but this isn't really, it's my dust mask is more for like particles. It's less for, you know, gases. So I need to get as much of that gas out of my shop as possible so that I don't have to filter as much, and I don't have to worry about inhaling that smoke. All right, I'm gonna roll this over just a little bit. Take a look at those. We need a little bit more heat so that we can really squish those interior petals together so that when we go for the outside petals, we can kind of create a good look to it. So, yeah. Let's see, what else is going on this week? My parents I thought that my parents were coming on Monday, but it turns out they're coming a week from today. So I didn't get to see them today, but I will get to see them next week. And it should be good. We're gonna get dinner together. So that means I didn't have to clean quite as quickly as I thought I was gonna have to. So I had a little bit more time, and that's kind of, we used that time to install the vent, uh, the I guess the range hood, and so today I finished the video for this week, and that one is the overview of the Indiana Blacksmith Association conference. So it's a little over 6 minutes long, and I will be uploading that and releasing that on Wednesday. So I'm really looking forward to that. It turned out really great. The Indiana Blacksmith Association, the IBA, has a really amazing mission statement, really. And their goal is to just get people out there to forge and to try out blacksmithing. And, so they have different branches of their blacksmithing communities, like little small, they have their large Indiana whole association, and then they have small little branches throughout the state so that you don't have to drive for hours and hours to get to a meeting. There's always going to be one close to you, and I thought that was really, really neat. So I got to talk to the president, and so he told me all about them, and so yeah, we've got an overview video, and it heavily features him. And next week's video is going to be Nate. He is one of the presenters from the IBA, the IBA conference. He is from, let's see, Jacksonville? No, he is from the East Coast. The craft, one of the craft schools out on the East Coast. And so I got to interview him, and that will be next week's video. And then after that, I'm going to start catching up on all of the overview videos that we've been missing out on, that are missing. So there is the coal forge, there is the raised smithy sign, there is the chalk the chalk holder, like the soapstone holder. So all three of those are going to be coming out after next week. And then there's a couple other videos that I have in the works, but I haven't completed all of the filming yet. So those are coming as well. So we've got plenty of new content coming for you guys. And like I said, on stream here, we will be doing a lot of blacksmithing and coal forging and making tools. That's my new focus for the summer. I want to make some hammers. I want to make some tools to make hammers, and I want to make some axes. Yeah. Hey, Ping, greetings. Thank you so much for that sub. Wow. Is that a 6-month sub? That's a 5-month sub. No, it is. It's a 6-month sub. Wow. It's been that long. That is crazy. Time has flown. I'm so excited though. We've got a long way to go, a lot to do. So thank you so much for that support. And, I'm just going to keep on keeping on. Let's see. All right, let's see if I've got enough heat on this rose. I've got a new angle for us to take a look at, so we're gonna see about that. See if I can find a good spot for our inset. I think that's gonna be all right. And then let me turn on the record function real fast. And then we're gonna get started. All right, guys. Look at that glow. That's a gorgeous glow. I love seeing that. And before stream today, I actually re-welded this. I was having a little bit of trouble with it because it was starting to get a little bit wiggly. There we go. That's better. I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna take this, squeeze them all together, see if we can't get everything all nice and, yeah, there we go. Much mo better. Or we can drop it on the floor. That's good too. All right, so that's what we're looking at right now. And so now we're going to take a look at some of these outside pedals and move those up and in. So let's heat this up again. There we go. Hopefully these guys will be a little bit easier now that we're on the outside. Your 8-month affiliate anniversary too. Or my 6-month affiliate anniversary. Is it my 6th month right now? I know that, that happened relatively recently. I guess I haven't really been paying that close of attention, but I mean, it has been about 6 months. I mean, June is the 6th month of the year, and I got affiliate in January, so that makes some sense. That is so crazy. I can't believe that it's been that long, but I mean, at the same time, I almost can because I mean, we've learned so much. There's a part of me that's like, I feel like I just started, but there's also another part of me that's like, I feel like I've been doing this forever, and I've learned so much, and I've gotten so much better over the course of these 6 months. So, and I mean, that's kind of why I posted the video up on YouTube last week, the overview. And it's kind of just a montage of stuff that we've done together. And, I feel like, I would like a progress, or, to give you guys a progress report. And thank you guys for all of your incredible support. Without you guys, I'd just be walking around in a empty garage, or playing video games all day, one of the two. Right. I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, you've also been streaming all this time, and I mean, your channel's grown too, and I mean, it's incredible, you know. But yeah, I mean, I've learned all about cameras. I've learned all about streaming in general. I've learned quite a lot about internet, and how internet comes from the ISP to into the house. I've learned a lot about, you know, hooking things up in OBS, and I've learned a lot about editing videos, which that is not an easy task sometimes. But yeah, I've just gotten better at everything. So, and I mean, practicing public speaking, I'm not afraid to talk in front of people anymore, or walk up to someone and say, "Hey, would you like to talk to me?" You know. So it's been amazing. These last 6 months have been very life changing. I mean, I'm way less depressed than I have been in the last 5 years. I mean, there's still some sad days here and there, but you know, I look forward to coming out here and visiting with all of you guys. So thank you so much for that. It has been incredible and amazing. All right. There is a piece of paper here. These are the instructions for my vent hood. So let me put these over there real fast and so I don't trip on them. Paper on the floor in a shop is very, very dangerous because there's so much dust and dirt all over the floor. And so if you step on it in just the wrong angle, it will actually slide out from under you. So I got to be really careful with that. It's a neat thing letting people into your life, but they also can come as, or can become a part of your life. Yeah. And I mean, you guys have become a part of my life. I mean, I recognize so many of you guys, you know, you're not just strangers anymore, you know, we're kind of a community and, you know, it's pretty cool. Stupid Windows pop-ups. It's all right. It'll go away eventually, I think. My laptop has Corel Draw on it, but it's like a free version of it, and every once in a while it pops up this whole thing. Do you want to buy Corel Draw? I'm like, I don't use it. I don't use Corel Draw software on that laptop, so you know, I actually use GIMP in the house for all of my graphic design projects. You know, every time I do like a new emote and things like that, I end up using GIMP, which is a free painting software or digital painting software. It's kind of clunky, but it's not too bad. I've been able to do quite a bit of stuff with it. It's not quite as good as Photoshop though. And so yeah. What else is going on? I don't know, but I can do another heat. I can tell you that we're going to do another heat. There we go. It's really convenient to put this guy in the Pritchell hole while I'm doing this stuff. So that's kind of why I'm, you know, hanging over here. Let's see if I can't get this guy up. It's kind of stuck a little bit. There we go. That's better. I'm going to have to heat this guy up a little bit further to get a little bit more of these guys going. Because it's a little bit on the stiff side right now. But at least I got it in there, or I got it up. I got to do that for all of the rest of these, and then we can kind of continue with this. We'll heat it back up real fast and keep on keeping on with this. Stay. All right. Let's see if I can't get rid of this yet. There it goes. Hey, Boston, welcome in. Hello, hello. We were just talking about how it's been 6 months since I started, or since I got a partner, or not partner, affiliate. and that it's been about 8 months since I started streaming, and how time has just flown. Um, and you guys have become, you know, a community, and I recognize you guys, and it's amazing. And we are also continuing on our road, and I'm looking forward to seeing it done and hanging up on the project wall. So when we're done with that, like I said, we are going to be doing a 3, 1, 2, 3. I can count. 3 S hooks. So if you remember, this guy right here is an S hook, or S for Smithy. I just kind of made it S hook. So we're gonna try and make some smaller S hooks so that I can use them to kind of hang the cables off of my tripods. And I've got a cart over here that has that holds my laptop and my power and all that sort of stuff. So I'm kind of trying to organize things so I'm not constantly tripping all over the cables. So we are going to do a couple, utility pieces today, and hopefully we can get them all done. They're kind of small. I'm starting with 3-inch pieces of stock, so hopefully we end up with something about yay big. All right, let's bend another pedal. I want you guys to be able to see these guys, but I also am right-handed. So there's another pedal. I think that's looking pretty darn good. We're going to heat this back up and start on some of the other ones on that side. We're looking more and more like a rose, I think. I think it looks real nice. Trying to bend that a little bit. Looks like you need that scale brush for this project. I definitely do. One of the bad sides of using really thin sheet is that scale develops all across the surface of the thin sheet. So it kind of just sort of flakes off. And, it's good, it's bad. I guess it's mostly bad, but it's just something you kind of got to put up with. So I will definitely be using the brush to brush this off quite a bit today. The one good thing is that because we're not hammering directly on this piece right now, the scale won't fly off. It's going to flake off in kind of more of a controlled way, as opposed to flying everywhere and hitting me in the face and on the hands and things. So that is good. The rest is kind of meh because I'm losing material. The petals themselves are getting thinner and the longer we do this. So we've got really good thick material right now, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. But, if you were working with thinner sheet, you might have to be a little bit more careful. Normally, I have to be a little bit more careful because I am using a lot of 20 gauge sheet steel when I do my own hand cut petals. I like to do them real thin because then they look very realistic. But this kit is also really neat. I didn't have to cut the petals myself. So it looks like we are going to be starting an ad here shortly, and so I will wait until that ad is done before we do another pedal. But we do have plenty of heat for those pedals when, you know, we get there. Oh, good point. On the not flying because you're not hammering. Yeah, and I mean, that's part. Like I said, it's definitely something that I'm gonna have to like scrape off of there, and you know that's what wire wheels are for and things. But at least you know there is that one good thing. Let me clean some of this scale off. The less scale I have to deal with on the anvil itself, the better. And there will be a time where I will be hammering because I got to make those S hooks. So, you know, I definitely need to get rid of a lot of the scale. Anyway, let's see. What else can I talk about? I don't know. Like I said, I've kind of been moving around in the shop and kind of working things and or trying to make things work a little bit better in here with the vent hood for the coal forge. But that's also making it, or I'm also having to kind of rearrange my shop a little bit further. I rearranged this little set area that you guys always see me forging in, but there's a whole bunch of other areas in my shop that are just like pits because whatever I moved out of this area, I moved into those areas. And so now I'm kind of having to go through everything and organize and put things in places or make places for things. So we've been doing that a little bit. I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what to do with my welders. My welders are over there. I've got two welders. One is the flux core welder that you've seen me use previously when we were doing the coal forge itself, like tack welding and stuff. It's like that, flux core welder with the flux inside of that, the wire. But I also have a stick welder. And my stick welder, it's large and bulky. It gets in my way, and it also takes a 220 receptacle. And unfortunately, I only have one 220 receptacle in this shop, and it is right there. So I kind of have to keep that particular welder in that area floating around there. So I really need to find a good place for it so that I can use it, but also it's not in my way. Right now, it's kind of sitting right here on the other side of my post vites, and it's just I don't know. I'm having a lot of trouble, like, cause I took the central pedal cluster was starting to kind of move a little bit. I noticed yesterday when I was moving things around, and I spent a little bit of time this morning tacking it back in, and it was very difficult to get to my flux core welder with the stick welder where it's at. So I gotta find a good spot for it, I think. I also need to reorganize the cold shop because I really want to take you guys in there and do a little bit of jewelry and some silversmithing at some point in the future. And it is a giant disaster in there. There's like a whole bunch of boxes and things and some furniture that I never sold and all kinds of stuff. So I really need to organize it in there. And I think next weekend is going to be the weekend for that because a friend of mine is giving me a pottery kiln, and I just can't say no to a good tool. So I'm giving a new home to this large pottery kiln. I think it's about yay big around, and we'll see what we can do with it. All right, we are out of the ad time. So let's do some more pedals. Pedals, pedals. These are not bike pedals, they're flower pedals. Woo! As I drop things. Ah. Alright, I'm going to heat this back up again. And there we go. That's what we are now. I think that's pretty nice. Honestly, I wish this guy could be glowing red hot all the time, because then it would, it would totally be like the same color as a rose. Let's get some of the scale off of here before I stick it back in the forge. Maybe if I can make it move without burning myself, that'd be great. There we go. That's much better. Let's heat this guy back up. All right, I'm going to turn the fan on because it's starting to get real nice and warm and humid out here, or in here. There we go. That's better. I love how the center holds heat for so long. It makes it look extra beautiful. I think it does too, man. I think it does too. Like I said, I wish that I could just like keep it hot and glowing, because that red hot color that the heat gives it is almost the same color as a beautiful red rose that you get in the, at the florist. And it's so gorgeous. If I was using another type of metal, I could almost use that as a heat patina. Unfortunately, steel does not colorize quite as well as other materials. Like you can actually heat brass, bronze, and copper, like copper alloys. And when you heat them, you can flux those, and it will stay the heat color. But steel won't. You can heat that, and it will change colors, but eventually that color will fade over time, especially when it starts rusting. So, I wish I could do that heat patina thing, but I can't, unfortunately. So we'll see. I think this is just going to be a steel rose. There might be, if I do another one in the future, we might be able to brass it. If you take a brass brush, how we've got our steel brush here. There are some that have brass bristles on there, and when you allow your your steel to heat and you rub it with a brass coated brush, some of that brass gets transferred onto the steel and creates a kind of a brass patina over top of your steel. It's a rose, or if a rose loses its glow, just stuff it back in the forge. Yes, unfortunately, exactly. Welcome in, Sandwich. Welcome in. So yeah, we're continuing on this rose, and I'm really having fun with it. It seems to be going a little bit faster than the previous ones. So I'm gonna kind of take a little bit of liberty once I get the second to the last set of petals up, and I think the last set I might want to make them a little bit more open, so that I can kind of give it a concave sort of twist to it. When a rose bud opens, the longer you allow it to open, the more it kind of expands, like those outer petals. So we're gonna see, if we can't futz around with it a little bit to make it look a little bit prettier. Isn't that already the last set? It looked that way. Well, technically I have 2 sets that I'm working with right now. So there were 4 sets, right? There are those 2 central ones, and right now I'm working on the 3rd set. Then there is a 4th set at the bottom. So they kind of meshed together when I riveted them down. The middle 2 kind of rotated a little bit, so they kind of they ended up they looked almost like a brick. You know how there's 2 bricks, and then there's a brick over top that's like halfway over. So that's what the center two did, but the outer two kind of, they were more like sandwiched. So I've got an extra set, I think. I see. Yeah. Ooh, that is a horsefly. One of the things I did yesterday is I sprayed the whole, or like the window area, with hornet spray, because more hornets keep nesting in the same hornet nest outside the window, and they found a way to like get in. So I don't know. There's that hornet now. Or I guess it's a horsefly. It's not a hornet. There's definitely a difference between hornets and horseflies. They're about the same size, but you know, I feel like a hornet sting is a little bit worse than a horsefly bite. Most of the time. I mean, I've gotten some really doozy horsefly bites in my time. All right, let's do another petal. Petal or two. Keep on pedaling? Or is that more like a bike thing? That might be more like a bike thing. All right, so we've got one more petal from that second to the last here. And then there's this last one right here. If I move it over here, I might be able to work it a little bit better, but I don't know that you guys will be able to see it quite as well. All right. So there's that. Now I've just got these last ones here. All right, we're gonna heat this back up because the last thing I want to do is rip these guys off of here. So I think it's really starting to look pretty lifelike. You know, I like it a lot. So let's keep on going. We also have this ninja star on the back to work with. Pedal of the metal. Metal to pedal, yes. Put that pedal to the metal. So I don't know. Are we, you know, driving? Are we bicycling? I mean, it could be either one, you know. Each one has pedals. You know, you got the gas and the brake on the car, but you also got the pedals that you pedal forward for the bicycle. So I think it could be both. I like both. Hornets are larger wasps. Horsefly are, well, flies. Exactly. Horseflies are flies. They're huge ones, though. I've been bit by a few horseflies. I don't know that I've really ever been stung by a hornet, though, or like a. I guess I've been stung by a bee once, but never like a hornet or a wasp, which I think is a little bit odd. But I tend to be, if I leave them alone, they tend to leave me alone. So you know, I would rather they not live in my shop, though, because other people could come in here and they might be allergic or, you know, afraid of them. So I would rather they find someplace else to live. On the whole. Ugh. I need to tilt up my fan a little bit. It is a little, it's really warm in here. I think it's worse because it was storming earlier today, and it was so misty, and it's just the heat is really affecting me. It's making me sweat like yeah. Wasps are terrible neighbors. Gotta evict them. Yes, exactly, Mahalo. The important difference is a horsefly wants to bite. A hornet has no interest in stinging, but only does it out of emergency. I mean, that makes sense. I guess in my head, I think that, or I've always like, heard that wasps are assholes and that they just sting you for no reason. But I mean, I'm a huge thing to them, like a huge monstrous creature. I would be afraid of something huge, scale wise. So, I might lash out too. And horseflies, they definitely do want to bite because don't they drink blood? I was under the impression that they're called horseflies because, in dirty barns, they like attack horses and they drink horse blood. But they do that for humans too. At least that's how I understood it. I might be wrong. Let's do another heat on another petal. Trying to get these petals done without wrecking them too badly or without losing too much material to scale. If I can manage it. Let's see. Kind of want to. There we go. That's kind of what I want to do. Like so. All right, more heat. More heat, more heat. But we are slowly getting there. So I've kind of pulled this one out a little bit. So it kind of gives that like concave, lifelike curl. I'm hoping to do that on a couple more of these guys, but I'll need more heat to do that because these guys are a little bit thicker than the ones I'm used to. Yep, they're vampires. Vampires. I feel like real vampires are really scary, like if they were real, but I think they're kind of cool when it comes to like fantasy and that sort of thing. A lot of times I will RP when I do a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and role playing games, and I have oftentimes role played vampires. Sometimes they're really cool. I don't think I'd want to meet one in real life though. There are some kinds of wasps or hornets which are kind of aggressive. Most will only sting if and when necessary, thus when they feel they are under attack or to defend their nest. A horsefly, like a mosquito, bites to feed. Completely different incentives. Exactly. Yeah. Sandwich, you're so smart. I can always rely on you to like be able to be there to, when I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but I think I might have an idea. You are very informative and very intelligent. That or you're really good at Google. Whew. It is warm in here today. I know I keep complaining, but I feel like I think I need another fan. I've got the one, but I think I need a second. I thought about doing that yesterday when we went to get the vent fan for the coal forge smoke, but there wasn't one that I was really excited about. Um, a lot of the ones that they had at the store were like house fans, and when you get a house fan, it's fine for inside the house, but when you have the extreme heat of a shop, you really want a shop fan, one that has like a lot more power. So that's the fan I got there. I feel like I need a second one. Let's say we are smart enough to know what to Google for. Well, I mean, that is a skill too. I have learned that being able to Google things effectively is a very important skill, and a skill it is. Not everybody knows how to effectively search for things. Um, you know, it is something that can be learned on your own, but also sometimes has to be taught. What are your thoughts on induction forges? And Pink says truth. Um, so induction forges seem really, really cool. And basically, what an induction forge is it is a long filament that carries electricity in a circular coil, and you stick your metal through the coil, and the electricity and the heat generated by that coil heats up your material. And so I honestly, as much as I want to have an opinion on it, I feel like I can't. I don't feel educated enough to have an opinion on it. I do know that if your material touches the sides of the coil, you can shock yourself, and that can be dangerous. And so that kind of makes me want to hesitate to get one for this shop. I do know that they don't generate as much ambient heat. So having a induction coil forge would be a lot easier for me than the gas forge, because I can feel the heat, uncomfortable amounts of heat all the way to here. Um, but an induction coil, it doesn't, the ambient temperature just is not there. But it also sucks up a lot of electricity. So, I mean, I've never used one. So, and because I've never used one, I don't feel like I can truly form an informed opinion about it. So I apologize, but at this time, I don't really have an opinion on an induction forge. If I ever get a chance to play with one, I will let you guys know. To my understanding, the heat is produced right inside the metal to be eddy currents. Kinda. From what I understand, it's kind of the electrons from the coils are it's kind of the way I understand it, it is a combination of the electricity itself as well as magnetics creating the heat, or like the magnetic field around the induction coils. But like I said, yes, it is. It's magnetics. It's at least that's what my understanding was. Um, and that's similar to how a magnetic electric coil for generating electricity would function. Um, but I don't have a lot of specifics. It's like a microwave for metal. The magnetic field induces the eddy currents inside the material, which heats the metal. It won't work on non-ferrous. Yeah, and I figured that was the case because, non-ferrous is, the whole idea of ferrous and non-ferrous is that ferrous is magnetic and non-ferrous is not. So your coppers, your brasses, your bronzes, none of those. Also aluminum, zinc, those would not function in a induction coil heat forge. I am not convinced of that. I mean, like I said, I've never used it, so I don't know this for sure. So I mean, things make sense, but there's always there is there is actually a truth, but because I don't have the, I could see it working either way, but there is a fact, and I just don't know it. So I can find out for you guys eventually. Welcome in, Wolf Brother Cinema. Oh, and you're raiding with a party of 8. Welcome in. Thank you guys so much for this raid. Oh, 100%. I have an induction cooktop. I put an aluminum pan in it, and it's ice cold. The project is actually doing pretty well. Whoops. Okay. I'm pretty sure Ping beat me to your shout out, but welcome in, everybody. We are currently working on a metal or like a steel rose. So that's what's currently in the forge. I will be pulling that out to do another heat on that really shortly. But right now we've been talking about induction forges, and induction forge is a coil of metal that is powered by an electric current, and you stick a piece of metal inside of it, and it heats the metal up using the magnetic forces. So it's kind of an interesting scientific thing. I don't have any experience with it, so we're kind of debating, what works and what doesn't with it. But there is totally an answer, and I just don't know it, so I will have to look that up, and I will give you guys a definitive answer on Wednesday when I stream. So, by placing a conductive material on or into a strong alternating magnetic field, electric current is made to flow in the material, thereby causing Joule heating. In magnetic materials, further heating is generated below the Curie point due to hysteresis losses, so it works better for magnetic material. That makes sense. All right, let's do another heat. Let's show off this gorgeous flower that we're making. So here it is. So we're kind of shaping these flower petals right now. There we go. Ugh. They're a little bit thicker than I'm used to. If I turn this way, you guys should be able to see the one that I'm currently working on. So that's how far we are right now. I'm actually really excited and happy about this. I think it's gorgeous. I want to take another pass at this guy right here, and then we're going to come over to the other side. We're going to start working on this greenery down here. This ninja star looking thing is kind of, the green part of the bud. So I kind of want to curl it back towards that stem. But overall, I am really happy with this guy. It looks very lifelike. This kit is really, really nice. There we go. Love how it looks. It's very nice. It looks great. Thank you guys for all of the compliments. So this was a kit that I was able to acquire from the Upper Midwest Blacksmith Association's conference about 7 years ago, and it's kind of been sitting in my shop ever since. I had some extra time because when we started it, it was right before I was going to go on another trip to the Indiana Blacksmith Association. So we kind of started playing around with this kit, and we're just finishing it up now. So basically, it came with 4 courses of pre-cut petals and the little ninja star that creates that bud shape. And so we had to create the stem for it and attach the petals on there. And then we've already done that. So now what we're doing is we're kind of shaping those petals. Previously, I think it was, I don't even remember when it was. I think it might have been Friday. We took a cross peen hammer, which is this guy right here, and we took this side of it, which is nice and skinny, and we created some veining on those petals to kind of give them a more lifelike texture. And so now we're just sort of shaping them, making the flower function, or I mean, look like a flower. When we're done, we're gonna hang that up on our project wall over here, and it's gonna live there. And you guys are gonna be able to take a look at it, and you know, maybe someday we'll replace it with something else. But right now, there aren't enough projects on here, or on the project wall, to fill it up. So, you know, we're going to keep on filling it. Ads back. Man, there's ads all the time. I never know when you guys have ads and when you don't, because they've got that new thing with like the teeny ads and the big ads. So I never know which one you guys are getting. It just it gives me a timer. So I do my best. So I'm glad you guys are back. So like I said, we got a couple more things that I want to do for those last few petals. I just want to shape them a little bit more. Then we're going to kind of work on that back end with the greenery. Once we're done with that greenery and the flower itself, I'll probably take it over to the quench bucket and quench that off so it's nice and cool. We'll stick it over there so that it can finish cooling off, and we're going to create some S hooks. So right here I have 3 inches, or like 3-inch lengths of 1/4 inch stock. These are 1/4 inch square, and that is, I would say it's probably maybe 1.5 centimeters-ish. And I don't know, maybe 4, I don't know. I'm not very good with metric. But yeah, so we've got these little guys here. We are going to hammer them out. We're going to draw them out and make them longer and thinner. And then we're going to create S hooks. And this right here is an S hook. So we're just going to make 3 of them. All right, we've got plenty of heat, so I'm going to do some more petal work. But first, I am going to check my clips. Check my clips. There we go. That way I have some clean footage. Woo! Burning the hair off the back of my fingers. All right, so there we have that. So now we're going to kind of focus on these last corners here. I got 1 there, and I think I'm going to keep on keeping on with those last 3. I'm going to get a little bit more heat. But that is the flower itself. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Messing around with things. Sometimes I mess around a little too much. There we go. That's better. Did I miss any chatters? No, I did not. Cool, cool. We're starting to build up a lot of scale, unfortunately. Like I keep saying, the thinner sheet steel, it generates a lot of extra scale, which is hot rust. So the oxygen and propane inside the forge generates some rust. When it gets hot, it kind of pops off of the surface. You are losing material as that happens, but you know, there's really nothing you can do about it. Scale is generated whether you have flux or not, or at least a little bit of scale is generated whether you have flux or not. And flux has a tendency to eat away at forge brick, so I don't tend to use it. Goodness gracious. So Rex Mechana, thank you so much for the follow. Philosopher's Peasant, thank you so much for the follow. TZBENJ1, thank you for the follow. Thank you guys so much for the follows and the support. I greatly appreciate it. Welcome to the forging family. Would it help to have a flame with less oxygen? So I suppose in all technicality, if you were to have a better mix of propane and oxygen, you would generate less scale. But you also have to have oxygen in your fire in order to get it hot enough, because oxygen is the fuel for that fire. So you when you're lighting a fire, you know, it eats the oxygen in the air, but if you add more oxygen, that's how it increases the heat and size of your flame. That's why when, you know, there is a forest fire, if it gets windy, that can cause a lot more damage than if it's not windy. And I mean, part of that is that it's blowing, you know, debris that is burning in other places, but it is also adding extra fuel to that fire, which makes it bigger and hotter. So you get more and more damage in a forest fire. Now, I add a semi-controlled amount of oxygen to my fire to create the temperature that I desire. So my fire is incredibly controlled, or as controlled as fire can be. So technically, yes, but no too. There we go. Look at that heat. That is a lot of heat. All right. So I'm going to bring this over here so you guys can kind of see me rolling these guys down a bit. All right. So I think I'm actually pretty excited about that. That looks gorgeous. So I think I'm gonna call that done. So there's that right there. It is our beautiful flower. I hope you guys can see that. And let me pull it out, and we'll stick it like that. That way you guys can see it pretty well. I guess the ideal fire would have a lambda value of 1, or do you need an excess oxygen to target or to get it hotter? I honestly, I can't really give you a specific value. Unfortunately, I don't have the education to give you like specific scientific numbers on that. I have a very cursory knowledge of metallurgy and a little bit of physics, but I'm kind of, I've never had a formal education on that. My formal education was on sculpture in general, so I can't give you exact numbers. I just know that it feels good, I guess. It's more like a feel and a look that I'm going for when I'm looking for when I am looking for the flame. All right, coolio. Gorgeous. I like it. I like it a lot. I see. All right, I'm gonna put this over somewhere to kind of cool down and dry. It is still a tiny bit warm, but it's not too bad. It looks great. Excellent. Thank you. I'm glad that you guys think it looks great. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this first piece of steel and I'm going to stick it in here. Then I'm going to close this guy up a little bit. The reason that I have these bricks in the front is because they kind of close in the heat. So the more closed that heat stays in there, it vortexes more and it gets hotter and hotter. When I open it, it lets that heat out. So it's going to be a little bit cooler for me and a little bit hotter in there so that we can get a hotter piece faster. So this is going to be for our first S-hook, and that S-hook looks like this guy right up there. So like I said, I need 3 S-hooks so that I can manage my cables for my camera setup. And so that's what we're going to do now. But yeah, I'm actually really thrilled by this guy. I think it's gorgeous. Normally when I'm making roses, I have a tendency to do 3 courses. I do an inner, a middle, and an outer. So this one has 4, and I think that, you know, I think it makes a much more bloomed rose look. A lot of people actually only do 2 courses, like especially if you're doing a single piece of steel. This is definitely not a single piece. It's kind of a kit, like I said. So the only thing I feel like this guy is missing is maybe some leaves. I did think about making a few leaves for this guy, but I needed the hook, so we might make some leaves for it a little bit later. But yeah, gorgeous. Very, very hot. And I am done with my first water. Run away in utter fear, because Bluesy is here. Welcome in, Bluesy, welcome in. We just finished our rose. So this is our finished rose. We have 4 courses of 5 petals each. and we made this stem out of a 6-inch piece of 1/4-inch stock. And so we've also got these lovely bud sections, like the greenery. And I'm actually pretty happy with it. I think it looks gorgeous. We are definitely going to stick it up on the project wall. I'm debating whether I need to stick this back in the forge and bend it forward. You know, right now it's kind of very stock straight. But if I hang it on the project wall, I don't think you guys will be able to see the middle. So I might need to bend that down so, you know, you can kind of see that middle section. A rose by any other name would still smell sweet. That was the title. Well, you know, a pun of that was the title of the first stream when I started this rose. The title of that stream was "A Rose of Any Other Material Would Smell as Sweet." So, yeah, let's get some Shakespeare in here. I'm good with that. Yeah, bending might be a good idea. I do. I think that I might need to bend this. So that way it's a little bit easier for you guys to see it. You know, we'll have it like bent this way. I will probably do that a little bit tomorrow. I want to get a little bit more precise of a heat on this guy so that I don't mess up any of the flower petals that I've already done. So like I said, I will be finishing the final touches on that coal forge, welding the flange onto the brake drum and setting it all up so I can test the vent hood. And you know, if it works correctly, I should be able to just like tweak that rose a little bit and then we'll hang it up. All right, we're getting enough heat. Unfortunately, I will have to move to bed. It's going to be an early day tomorrow. Have fun and a nice day. Well, you too. Have a lovely night, Sandwich. Sleep well. We'll see you later. All right. All right. So we have our piece of steel for our S-hook in the fire, and there's plenty of heat there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up the anvil for this new project. So these guys, this is my universal tongs. That's for my 90-degree holds, and my scrolling tongs. We're gonna put those away. And then I'm gonna grab out this piece, or this tong right here. This is my 1/4-inch stock tong. And my 2-pound hammer, which is about a kilo, I guess. All right. So when you are blacksmithing, you always want to make sure that you set up your anvil properly so that you lose as little heat as possible due to losing your hammers and your tongs and things. So when I pull this material out of the forge, it starts losing all of its heat. And so I want the most work time that I can get from this material. So I'm going to pull it out, and I want to get to work immediately. So if I'm looking for my hammer, that's not good. That's not efficient. So we're gonna try and be a little efficient. It's less. 1 keg is 2.2 pounds. Okay, it is less than a keg. What happened to my roar? Is this it? This can't be it. It is it. Okay, well, I guess I will have to use a different one. The wedge came out of it again. Goodness gracious. I'll have to put that back in. So we're going to use this hammer instead. It is also a slightly less than 1 keg hammer. Alright. I need to set up my cameras too. You guys won't be able to see unless I move the camera a little, because we are very much on that Pritchell and the Hardy. So I'm gonna stop my clips, start them again, reposition my camera so you guys can see me draw out this piece. So I'm good to go now. You'd think a smithy could make a proper hammer. I mean, I know. Good thing I didn't make that hammer. You know what? I might put that up there. That might be a better place for that inset. Once upon a time, I did not struggle to get a piece of steel out of my forge, but that is not today. Come on. There we go. I think I can get it out now. Yay! Alright. So we are kind of starting to isolate this material. We've given ourselves a little bit of material right there, and we've thinned this out, giving ourselves a shelf. That's called an isolation. Ooh, do I not like this hammer? I definitely don't. So we have maintained the thickness this direction, but we've kind of thinned it out in horizontal direction. So I want to thin out all of this and keep this little guy right here. It's going to be a penny scroll. So it's like a little round section. Ah! I don't normally use that short of a piece of steel. I'm gonna blame it on I don't use that short of a piece of steel usually, but you know, we all know that that's not actually the reason that I'm having these troubles. But we can pretend, right? Oh, goodness. Hot, hot. Does the newer hammer have a soft handle? I don't know. I think it's just not balanced very well, I feel like. Let me compare the two. I don't know. This one honestly feels a little bit heavier than this guy. So maybe this isn't a 2-pound hammer. I think that part of the reason why I like this hammer better than this hammer is that this hammer is shorter in this direction. So this guy is a lot longer. It's got an extra, like, probably, I don't know, ½ inch or so. And so the weight is spread out a little bit more. It just isn't quite as nice to use, if that makes sense. We believe you. It sounds different, does it? I don't know. So this guy is a hammer that I bought at Harbor Freight, which is a U.S.-based discount tool store. I bought this for for my YouTube video where I taught people how to dress a hammer. So when you buy a brand new hammer, there is always this like round lip, and the edges are really, really sharp. And if you leave it that way, you'll start putting divots and dents into your material. So this is, you know, the hammer. I dressed it already, but I don't know. I don't like the weight and the way the weight is distributed, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I'm used to using my handmade hammer, and then I'm also used to my 3-pound hammer, but that guy has a shorter handle. I really hate long handles. Harbor Freight is the place to get disposable tools. You need to get bigger forearms. I do need to get bigger forearms. I would love to be muscular, you know, with like the big muscles so I could, you know, bodybuild and stuff. But I'm just like, I'm really lanky. Even if I wanted to build muscle, I don't think I could. I'm just not built that way. But yeah, I always tell people that if you're looking to get a new tool that you have never used before and you don't know if you're going to like it or not, buy it at Harbor Freight. Use it until it breaks. If you use it enough that it breaks, then it's time to replace it with a good tool. Now, that I can't say that for every tool, because occasionally you'll buy a Hammer Freight or a Harbor Freight tool and it'll immediately break, because some of them are really like cheaply made. I wouldn't say, you know, to immediately buy a new tool, but if you use it over a period of time and break it, then get a good one. Kind of like a Popeye. That would be fun. If I could just eat a can of spinach and get like super muscles, that would be so fun. All right, let's do another heat. If I can get this piece out of here. Apparently, I have decided that I no longer need hair on my knuckles. Let's see. Okay, you guys can't see that, so I will keep going over here. Maybe you guys should be able to see me there. Yeah. Okay, so I'm really trying to thin out that horizontal. Or the one side while keeping the other side that same thickness. So you kind of see that I'm gaining a lot of width in this direction and losing some in this. But we're getting there. We are lengthening out our piece. So if we compare the two, so this is before I touched it. This is a fresh one. We've already grown quite a bit. So we're going to keep on drawing this out. I want to make it a lot thinner and longer. Not entirely sure that amazingly made sense. Just don't break your hydraulic jack while you're using them. Yeah, I can imagine. A hydraulic jack is under a lot of pressure. So if it broke, that would be bad news. Really bad news. So I did actually buy my original, like the frame for my hydraulic press. I did buy this at Harbor Freight originally, and I broke my jack. And so this is a brand new jack that Mahalo graciously donated to the stream. He funded this for us, and we've gotten some pretty decent use out of this. We're gonna get a lot more in the next coming weeks when we start making some hammers. So I'm so grateful. So I am trying to draw out my material for this S hook. I have thinned out one of the sides, and by doing that, I have thickened out the other direction, so the other side. And so what I want to do is turn it 90 degrees and hammer back the material that I've widened out so that I get length and not width. We've got an ad coming up, or incoming, I guess. So once that ad is done, I will take our piece out again, and we'll do another heat. Wow, we've been going for an hour and a half. There's a part of me that feels like it's been longer, mostly because we finished our rows, and then there's another part of me that's like, nah, I don't feel like we've been going all that long at all. I've still got energy. All right, so what else can we talk about? So we have been looking at a replacement vehicle for my partner's Kia Rio, and we decided after doing the Missouri trip and the Indiana trip that it would be so cool to have a camper van. So we've been looking at some Ford Transits, and we were considering purchasing one, but my partner works at a news station, and they are decommissioning one of the live trucks. So what a live truck is it's like this truck, and it has this mast, and it's like a 30-foot long, like, and huge wide antenna, so that you can kind of receive the signal and send out the news broadcast from a live broadcast. So they're decommissioning it, and we might be able to pick that one up. So that will be an interesting build, turning an old news truck into a camper van. So that'll be an interesting project. I am considering doing some YouTube videos about it. We probably won't stream that project just because it's going to be something that I need to do with my partner. But I'll definitely put it on YouTube, so you guys can look forward to seeing some of that. We still have to do a little bit of more formal things, like we haven't actually or formally gotten it yet. So once we do, I'll keep you guys updated. But I want to get a nice camper van so that it is easier to take these trips and bring you guys with me. Holy smokes, that'll be a mega project. It will be a mega project. So this weekend, my partner has a 4-day weekend because of Juneteenth. And so we are going to try very, very hard to finish our bathroom project by putting in a toilet and a sink. And fingers crossed we can finish that project before we start on this van project. But yeah, it's going to be fun and informative, I guess. All for you guys, right? All right, let's do another heat. Okay. want to thin this out quite a bit more, but I think I'm going to start on the other side. So I'm going to heat this side up so that we can start our other penny scroll. And to do that, I'm going to have to change tongs. So let's use these tongs instead. There we go. I just hope it's not one of those trucks with a mast. Well, it definitely is one of those trucks with a mast. However, they're taking the mast out of the truck. So like the top stuff is going to be gone when we get a hold of it, but we will have like the retractable like lengths. So we'll have to like figure out how to get rid of it. I think it's hydraulic, so we'll have to pump out all of the hydraulic fluid and then cut it out, probably. Unless it's bolted on, I'm hoping that it's bolted on because it'll be a lot easier than cutting it out. Overlander campers are all the rage during the shutdown. They definitely are. We've been watching a whole bunch of like YouTube videos about people who have done their camper van conversions. And there's a part of me that's like, if I'm going to do one, I'd rather put it on a different channel. But I mean, we already have a channel, so I might as well put it on ours. So, you know, we might get some views. I don't know. It's going to be fun either way. I don't think I want to do anything too terribly elaborate with it, especially if we can't get the mast out as easily as I would like to. But it's still going to be usable, and it already has a power generator in it because it has to power all of the news equipment. So we are keeping the power generator and what is the other thing? Oh, there's an air conditioner already installed on it, so we'll be keeping that too. Why not buy one that's already converted? See, that would be great if we had the funds for it. Unfortunately, we don't. So if we're able to get this truck, it won't cost us that much. It'll cost us a lot less than even buying a new car. So all of that savings we're going to put into like outfitting it, I guess. And it also allows us to be more custom with it. You're building what you want is much more affordable. Yeah. So we're kind of gonna IKEA and Amazon a bunch of the furniture for it, I think. There's also already a whole bunch already done to it. Like I said, it's already wired up with a generator and a large battery. It already has an AC unit. All of the wall panels are already insulated. So really all we have to do is fit it with furniture. So it should be relatively, it will be a lot less time consuming than a lot of the builds. You know, it's most of it is like tearing out all of the old stuff and like insulating it that I feel like takes a lot of the time, at least on the videos that we've watched. Heat. It does not have its own heater right now. Aside from the vehicle's heater, because every car has a heater. So it does not have a secondary heater at the moment. We are looking into figuring out what we can do with it. But we have to kind of see we have to have it in hand so that we can take measurements and kind of assess where we can put things and, what we can add to it, I guess. So if we don't actually get that one for whatever reason, we will probably be buying a different one. but that one will take more effort. RV skylight. Close up the hole in the mast. Yes, we definitely are considering doing a skylight or a vent fan. A lot of the builds have like vent fans, but I do really like the skylight so that you can kind of open all the way and have it an escape hatch. So, and we'd like to, we're also taking a look at some of the solar. It's kind of, I don't know. We'll see if we need it. Like I said, it already has a diesel, or I guess it's not a diesel, it's a gas-fueled generator on it, so we might not need as many solar panels, but we're looking into them. Okay, we're gonna do another heat, but first I need to look at this guy. So this guy has 2 penny scrolls, and they're exactly where I want them. So it looks like they're opposite. So they're on opposite sides. I got to keep that in mind. All right. So the little nub is on the bottom. All right. So we look at these two from this side. Okay. And they are opposite. Just making sure I've done it correctly. All right. We'll heat that back up and we'll keep on keeping on. Whew. So warm. So yeah, I would like a skylight, especially if you could like, if we can convert it into like both a skylight and an escape hatch, you know, in case you get into an accident and, you know, you need to escape out the top. Keep on keeping on. Exactly. Welcome in, Mountain Meat. Welcome in. Beer Bong 12, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. Please stay hydrated. I try very hard. This is my second one. So I am most of the way done with this, and I might actually have to go and get more, but we'll see. But chat can attest that I already drank this one, and I am most of the way through this one. And we've only been streaming for a little less than 2 hours. So that is a lot for my puny little bladder. I gotta keep my kidney going, you know, free of kidney stones. That is one of the worst pains I have ever experienced in my life was kidney stones. I have never had children though, so I mean, I can't attest to how, or, you know, that pain. So, what else is going on? So there is a quad state blacksmithing conference in Ohio in September, and that is my goal. My goal is to get the van to a point where we can take it up to quad state and use it as a restful area between shoots. If not, you know, so that we could even use it in lieu of a hotel. I don't know if I'm the kind of van life girly that can just live in a van. I think I actually need, like, you know, a real bed and a real shower. So I think that a week is as long as I could live in a van. So maybe we'll be van life light. Woo! I have been deliberately not wearing white lately because I've been sweating so badly. You need a blacksmith shop in my van. That would be amazing. So I do have an idea for a travel setup. So down underneath of my forge, I have a single brick forge. Some of you have seen it before. I call it the mailbox. It's about the size of, you know, about this big, and it's about yay wide and about yay tall. So it's a single of these bricks here, and there is a hole drilled through it, or two holes drilled through it. So it's a mini forge, and I have a mini jeweler's anvil, and I will bring a couple tongs. But yeah, I do have plans to do a travel blacksmithing setup. So, you know, if we decide to go camping sometime, you know, maybe I'll be able to bring you guys with me. You know, borrow a Starlink or so. Smithy trailer, exactly. All right, let's do another heat while we're at it. So you can shoe a horse. Yeah. So definitely, so I can shoe a horse. So farrier work. It's like being a veterinarian. I just don't have the training for that. I need to lengthen this quite a bit more because I need to actually create an S hook out of it. So this is really, really thick for what I want it to do. So we're just going to thin this out further. So I'm going to heat it up again. But we've got those penny scrolls in there exactly where I want them. Aren't you a farrier? I don't know. I don't know that I would want to be a farrier, to be quite honest. Or being a farrier and being a blacksmith have some overlap, but they're very different. I don't think I would enjoy it, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, I love horses, but horses do not like me, and I can't be. I guess I feel like I would have to be a lot more precise, and I just hate being precise. If I'm being completely honest, I would rather be a armor smith than a farrier. I mean, I'm sure that there were plenty of blacksmiths back in the day that were both blacksmiths and farriers, but I'm just not one of them. I have not missed anything. At least I don't think I have. So I'm going to knock on wood right now, and I'm going to say it has been really smooth as far as our stream. So I'm thinking that by having my ISP, like the repairman come, I think that he did a pretty decent job of helping us with our stream. and giving me a little bit more stable internet. Can't you do all of that? See, I do a lot of stuff. I am a jack of all trades, but my wheelhouse is other stuff, right? So I'm a jeweler. I'm a silversmith. I fabricate things. I've done pottery. I've done glass blowing. But I'm just, I'm a silversmith. But I guess I'm not more. I'm more in the art side of things and less in the practical side of things. I'm definitely more on the form side of the form versus function argument, I feel like. Hey, jacks of all trades are a different name for farmers. Maybe I am a farmer. But like I said, most of my work is very artisanal and less so in the whole practicality. Most of my furniture is practical, but it's also very pretty. And it's less comfortable and more pretty than it should be, I guess, or it could be, I guess. All right, I am out of water. So next time I get thirsty, I will have to go over that direction and get another thing to drink. Okay, let's get another heat going. You guys might not be able to see this one. Let me go back to the middle of the anvil. I think I'm going to have to change the view so I can start using the horn of the anvil. Because I need to really thin this out really. So yeah, I need to really thin this out. So I'm going to move our anvil cam so that you guys can see the horn. Welcome in, Yankee. Harold Spark also, welcome in. All right. So we're going to come over here like so you guys can kind of see the horn of my anvil. All right. So right now we are making the first of 3 S hooks that I need to make for my streaming setup. I've got a spaghetti of cables that I really want to like constrict so that they're not everywhere and I'm not constantly tripping over them. So if I make these 3 S hooks, then I can kind of hang the cables out of the way. It's taking me a little bit of extra time to do this, so I might just make a really fancy one for the first one, and then maybe I'll just take some thinner stock and bend something a little bit more functional. And we can do more S hooks at a later date. So how have you been, Yankee? How's the garden growing? Are you getting any sprouts yet? I don't know. Like I said, I don't really like this hammer handle. It's a little bit on the long side. I have really small hands, so I've got all of this extra handle. And when I'm hammering, sometimes I have a tendency to hit the anvil face with the end of the hammer. And that's not good. it kind of throws off my swing. Alright. Let's do another heat. And where's a good spot for that inset? Right there. That works. Okay. I'm going to straighten this out a little bit. And then I'm going to flip it around. And then we'll keep on keeping on. Looks like this penny scroll is a bit bigger than that side, so we might take a little bit of the material off of this side eventually. Nip off the bud of the handle. I mean, maybe? Would that even work right? I feel like so if I did that, then I would have to chamfer the end and maybe varnish it or oil it, I think. I'm not very good with handles or wood in general. I do need to get a couple handles because I've got the hammer eye punch that I need to do a rehandle on. I need to rehandle this hammer, and then I also need to rehandle maybe these guys. Maybe that would work. Ask Yankee, yeah. Could I just cut the bottom of this off? Or would that like really screw up the handle? It's too long for me. I'm a small little thing, and I guess I do worry that it will throw off the balance even further. But I don't know. Maybe. All right, I'm thirsty again from talking and sweating, so I will be right back, I promise. Do I have any that are cold already? Couple minutes. My fridge is like right next to 40 ounces of water. We're gonna do 12 ounces of Gatorade to replace some of the electrolytes and salts in my body. And then we'll go back to water. Want it balanced? Put some weight at the butt end of your hammer. Yeah. You can cut it shorter and add a big lug screw to replace the weight. I mean, that is true. I don't know. I don't use this one very often, so I suppose it's probably the best hammer that I could use to kind of experiment. It would definitely be a good experiment. All right, let's do another heat. I think my camera is a little bit too close to the anvil because I feel like now you can only see the horn. I would like you to be able to see more of the anvil. So when I go over here, to the central area, it would be nice if you guys could, like, you know, see that. And I don't know that you guys can right now. So I think I'm going to reorient this camera. So we've got quite a bit of length in comparison to how long it was before. So we've grown almost double, which is great. That's what I wanted to see. I want it to be a little bit thinner, but then we'll be good. Gatorade, just get Broadway, the thirst Molulator. It's got electrolytes. Yeah, I mean, it's just cheap and I was able to buy it in bulk. It's got a little bit of electrolytes, a little bit of salt replacement. There is way too much sugar in it. That's why I only drink one out of every, like, third thing I drink. So I'll do 40 ounces of water, then I'll do one of these guys, and then I will revert back to water to kind of keep that sweat flowing. But there's just too much sugar to be drinking lots and lots of these. Rondo is from Idiocracy. Are they a European company? Sometimes it's harder to get some of the drinks here in the United States. I haven't seen that one in the store, so it might be something that I'd have to order online. Shipping liquids is always tricky too. Oh, Idiocracy is a movie. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Have I seen that? I might have. I don't remember. Maybe. But yeah. So I try to keep my liquids inside and not sweating out, but you know, it's hard to do that in the smithy because it is so hot. It's incredibly hot. It was supposed to be a satire movie, but it's turning into a documentary. I think I'm gonna leave it like that. As I've said before, I try to be I try not to infuse my chat with politics because it's so divisive. I do want to be a safe space for everybody. I do have my own opinions, and you might be able to catch a few of them here and there, but I try to be a little bit on the vague side with them. So yeah. All right, let's do another heat. Terry Crews, President Camacho. It was made in 2006. I think I saw that when it came out, or I saw that it was coming out. But I don't. If it was in 2006, I definitely did not actually see it. Because I didn't really start watching movies too much until much later than that. All right, I'm gonna turn this around, and we're gonna heat up this side and start working that way. We're getting close to being able to curl this guy. But yeah, I grew up relatively poor, and we didn't have a lot of money to go to the movies. And so I didn't really have a good job that I was able to have a lot of disposable cash until around 2006, 2005, 2006. I was still kind of paying for some things that I needed to pay for in 2004-ish. So I didn't, until about 2008, I didn't really get to see a lot of movies, especially not ones in theaters. So, whatever was on TV, and my parents watched, I watched those, but I didn't move out of the house until about 2008. And that's kind of when I started having a little bit more independence. All right. It's good and hot in the forge, so we're able to really heat our piece really quickly. So that is awesome. Maybe there. I'll throw it there. Need to turn it this direction. I think they're about even now. That's good. A little bit more and we will be ready to turn this into an S-hook. Maybe 2 more heats. That's my guess. My guess is 2 more heats. And then from there, we'll kind of assess what we want to do. If we want to do a little bit more, or if we want to end the stream for the day. We'll probably end the stream for the day, though, because it is getting a little bit on the late side. 1.7. I mean, it might be 1.7 heats. I would not be surprised if it was 1.7 heats. But that also reminds me of how many times my cat likes to be pet, right? He'll jump up on my lap and he'll beg to be pet, but he only wants one and a partial pet. And then he'll bite me. He'll be like, you did not know exactly how much I wanted to be pet. And so I'm going to punish you. 1 more heat. Yeah, I think it's actually going to be 2 more heats on finessing this just to get it to the right size, and then another heat after that to or maybe 2 more heats to kind of shape it the way I need it to be. So my guess is 4 heats total, 2 more on finessing the width, or like the size of it, of actually forging. So then I'm gonna I'm gonna go in the house and I'm gonna cool off. And that's gonna be great. Tomorrow I have to finish the last few things on the coal forge and test the range hood. And then I also have to start editing next week's videos. And I have to upload today's stream, and I have to upload a few more shorts for the end of the week. I've got a lot to do tomorrow. But that's all right. It's always fun. All right, let's do another heat. All right. Not doing so hot on this shaping thing. Trying to round this out a little bit further so that it actually looks like a penny scroll, you know? But I've got these nice corners that I gotta kind of fix. All right. There we go. That's much more round. I like that. So now we're going to turn it around this way, and we're going to round this guy out so that makes a penny. So that is one of our two heats. So one more heat on shaping the actual metal itself. And so we've got 3 more heats total. All the heats. All the heats in a heat wave. Goodness gracious. Let me change the view so you guys can kind of see it a little bit better. It's really in or onto the horn, but I'm starting to use the face of the anvil a little bit more. There we go. That way I can kind of center it in the picture. What did you say? You're building a penny farthing. I am doing a penny scroll. So if we come over here to our S from Ray's Smithy, hey, this is hot. A little bit, not too terribly hot. So all of the little round bits, those are called penny scrolls. And that's kind of what I'm trying to build right now, are these penny scrolls. Rawr. So close to a penny farthing, but not really. Actually, it's pretty far away from a penny farthing. I mean, it doesn't even have petals. Both of the little round bits are supposed to be the same size. All right, let's do another heat. I see. I thought you were building a bent bike. Maybe. Welcome in, Jack Frost. Welcome in. We are going to do another heat real fast. Or maybe it's not going to be real fast. We'll see. Okay, that's a better inset. I always have to like redo my insets every time I figure out what's where I'm gonna move my camera. Well, that's not what I wanted to see. A hornet. Okay. See if I can't get this like little corner out of this. There we go. All right. So we've got 2 penny scrolls going on there. If you see them from the side like so. So now we're going to start S-ing the S hook. So I want to bend them. So each of the penny scrolls are going to be on the inside of those curls of the scrolls, and it should be all right. That way they kind of hook onto the tripods. At least that's the goal. That's the plan. Because these S hooks are to corral my spaghetti cords. So on Wednesday, I'm going to try really, really hard to get the KoFi up and running. There is a chance that it doesn't work, or like the vent hood does not work, and I can't clean up the outside area in time. But I should be able to stream from the carport if we're not streaming from in here with the KoFi. Or streaming the KoFi. So what I want to do for Wednesday's stream is I want to make I want to play around with the special steel that I purchased from Coal Iron Forge. It's that Atlantic steel. So we're going to throw it in the Coal Forge and we're going to see how it moves. If I can manage to upset it a little bit, we are going to see about turning it into a hammer eye drift. But I'm not sure how it's going to move because I've never played with it before. So it's going to be an experience for both of us. We'll see how well it moves. It would be awesome if I could make it upset. Playing is important. It definitely is. A lot of times I actually do projects that are more teaching, and I kind of feel like I need a little bit of time to just like play with no amazingly like formal end in mind. So I do have an end in mind, but it's not, or it may or may not happen. The piece of stock that I was able to purchase is a little bit thinner than it needs to be as of right now, to make a hammer eye drift or that is the right size for the hammer eye punch that I purchased. So I need them to match. And the only way to get the piece of Atlantic steel to match is by upsetting it. But I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how well it moves. So if it doesn't move very freely, it's going to be harder to upset it. And so, we're going to see what we can do with it. Playing around. All right. I am probably going to be on the horn a little bit. Whoops. As I lose my piece. There we go. All right. Now we're going to turn this around and do the other side, and then we will see what we can do about making it a little bit more rounded and S-shaped and less of a point on that bottom edge. So yeah, we're getting there. Ever so slowly moving forward into finishing this piece. Alright, let's see. If you guys have any suggestions for people to raid, let me know. Otherwise, I will come up with somebody. It is going to take me a little bit of extra time for that raid if I'm unable to, or if you guys don't give me suggestions, because my computer gets really laggy at the end of the stream. I think what's happening is that it is not dumping the cache in the RAM. So it gets a little bit on the laggy side until I kill the stream. So we'll see. We'll see what I can do. I might start the raid on my cell phone. We'll see. Chef Steve. Ooh. Food. I'm all about food. There we go. I just got a text. All right. Here's my profile, stream manager. Okay. So that is good to go. So I should be able to raid from my cell phone. Actually, oh, Chef Steve 330. Okay. We can do food. I could definitely go for a snack after, spending a lot of time in the smithy. Let's do another heat. We might do one more after this, probably not, but we'll see. Maybe we'll do one more heat. I don't know. Whoops. Roar. We definitely will do another heat. Let me grab my other pair of tongs. It's going to be easier to grab this and move it around with these guys. All right, we need another heat because this is kind of an ugly looking S. Does not look very S-like to me. So we'll do one more heat to kind of fix it up. Mahalo, thanks for the stream. Real good luck with the coal forge setup. Got to get some outdoor stuff done before the rain. Have a great rest of your day, Mahalo. He used to have a food truck for charity, but he's got in an accident, so now they are saving up again for something different. Ooh, interesting. So are we kitchen cooking now? I'm all over food and cooking. I don't do a lot of it myself, but that's because I used to be a cook at a few restaurants, and I just don't cook at home anymore. I think it's mostly because I don't know how to cut my recipes down for two people, because I'm used to cooking for 30 or 40 or 100 or he is making cake pops. Ooh, with creme Danish. Awesome. Yeah, we will definitely raid him. Like I said, I need one more heat to kind of fix this guy, make sure that it is, S-shaped, and then we will raid off. We will take a look at these cake pops. Yummy, yummy. I've got some cupcakes that I'm gonna make sometime this week. I'm really excited about them. All right, now let's turn this around. Alrighty. It's an alright S-hook. Not the prettiest S-hook I've ever made, but it'll do. For what I have in store for it, at least. And there we have it. An S-hook. Alrighty. Woo! And I have to say, I apologize. I have yet to update this. So I greatly apologize. There are people who are not on my list. I will try to get that done by tomorrow or by Wednesday's stream. All right. What do I got here? That's not what I'm trying to do. Not what I'm trying to do. Ah! Alright. Have a great day, guys. Thank you guys so much. Have a lovely rest of your day and have a good day tomorrow.